Getting old isn't something that just happens to other people, though we all like to pretend it is. You think you'll have it all figured out by the time you get there. But the truth is, you'll stumble into it just as unprepared as I was. I spent 38 years as a hospice nurse, holding the hands of the dying. Yet nothing could truly brace me for life on this side of the bed. Before you look away, let me tell you what's coming. Not to frighten you, because I wish someone had been honest with me.
The first harsh reality is that your world and your body literally begin to shrink. I used to stand 5'6", proud and straight next to my husband on our wedding day. Now I'm barely 5'4". As your spine compresses and you lose inches of yourself, you also lose your physical presence in a room. You take up less space, you weigh less, and you become alarmingly easy for the world to overlook or push aside.
By the time you hit 85, you don't just feel ignored. You actually start to vanish from people's line of sight. I've stood at pharmacy counters where clerks looked right through me to help someone younger, as if I were nothing more than a piece of old furniture. The world that once desired you, needed you, or even judged you, eventually just stopped seeing you altogether. You become part of the background scenery. A shadow that people step around without a second thought.
The third reality is the quiet devastation of outliving everyone who truly knew who you used to be. My husband Tommy is gone, my best friend from nursing school is gone, and even the neighbour I shared coffee with for 40 years is gone. I am becoming the sole guardian of my own history, with no one left to say, "Remember when we were young?" Widowhood isn't just a title, it's the hollow ache of reaching across the bed in the middle of the night and finding only cold sheets.
There comes a day when your entire life is governed by the paralyzing fear of a single fall. I took a spill in my kitchen 2 years ago, and now I treat my own floor like a minefield. You stop walking with grace and start shuffling with a white-knuckled grip on the counter, terrified that one slip will be the end of your independence. The irony is that the fear itself makes you brittle, turning you into the very fragile thing you're so afraid of becoming.
One of the hardest pills to swallow is watching your children slowly become your parents. I raised them, taught them to drive, and wiped their tears, but now they look at me with that same worried, patronizing pity I once gave my own patients. There is a unique sting in having your own children whisper about your care options in the next room while you're sitting right there. They take your car keys and handle your life with a firm kindness that makes you feel like a teenager who stayed out past curfew.
You spend your final years carrying the crushing guilt that your continued existence is ruining your children's lives. Every grocery run they make and every doctor's appointment they drive you to feels like a debt you can never repay. I spent decades telling families that their loved ones weren't burdens. But now that it's me, I find it impossible to believe my own words. You start to wish you could go back to being the one who gives, rather than the one who only takes.
Loneliness at 85 isn't about how many people call you. It's about the deafening silence of the late night hours. You can have a dozen grandchildren waving at you on a screen and still feel more isolated than a castaway because no one is there to share the mundane moments. It's the habit of eating dinner with the TV on just to hear the vibration of a human voice in the room. The nights are so long now, and the quiet is so heavy it actually starts to ache.
Every minor slip of memory feels like a death sentence when you're this age. If a young person forgets their keys, it's a joke. And if I forget a neighbor's name, I freeze in terror, wondering if my mind is finally packing its bags. I've watched too many friends disappear into the fog of dementia. And I live in constant fear of becoming a stranger to my own family. I write everything down now, clinging to scraps of paper, as if they're the only things keeping me anchored to reality.
The final reality is that you have to spend your remaining energy planning for the moment you are no longer here. I've picked out my blue dress, written the letters to my grandchildren, and signed the orders to let me go when the time comes. I do this because I've seen what happens when families are forced to guess in the dark, and I won't let my death be their chaos. Death isn't the enemy. I learned that in hospice. The real enemies are suffering, loss of dignity, and becoming a body without a story.
But here is the secret they don't tell you. Once you accept that your time is short, a strange kind of peace settles in. I don't rush anymore. I don't worry about my legacy. And I finally have the time to actually see the birds at my feeder. I taste my coffee instead of just drinking it. I call my family simply because I want to hear the music of their voices. So if you're young, call your grandmother today, not because you have to, because someday you'll give anything for one more minute of her story. And if you're old like me, just know that I see you. We aren't invisible to each other. And that has to count for something.